morning, all the students, viewers, teachers, and principals of Telangana Model Schools. This is Muhammad Riazuddin, Principal Telangana Model School, Jarasangam from Sangareddy district. Now we have the webinar session on Commerce and Accountancy second year. The topic is from Commerce textbook. The topic is Business Services, Banking and Other Services, going to be handled by Mrs. N. Shailaja, PGT Commerce from Telangana Model School, Mirdurdi, Siddipet district. The madam has a vast experience of 20 years teaching in commerce and accountancy. Since from 2013 onwards, she is teaching in Mirdurdi Model School and College. In today's session, we learn about the nature and meaning of business services, difference between goods and services, types of business services like banking, insurance, transportation, and warehousing. And we also learn about the functions of banks. So I request the student to listen the session carefully and note down the important points. Now I invite Shailaja Madam to render his resources on the banking services. Now over to Shailaja Madam.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Good morning, Principal Ma'ams, sirs, my dear colleagues, and dear students. I heartily welcome to today's webinar session. So, in today's session, we are going to start the second unit of second year commerce. The title of the unit is Business Services, Banking, and Other Services. Now, let us see the contents of today's session. So today, we are going to learn about the nature, meaning of business services, the characteristics of business services, differences between goods and services, types of business services, meaning and definition of banking services, and the functions of banks. So let us start the session by understanding the term business services first. So business services is made up of two words, that is business and services. Now, what is business? Business is not new to you. We have studied in detail in first year. So just a recap of the meaning of business again here. So business is nothing but an economic activity which involves production, exchange, distribution, and sale of goods and services with the objective of earning profit. So the prime motto of business is to earn profit. Then what are these services? Services are those activities which facilitate in the smooth exchange of goods and services. So these services help in removal of hindrances in trade. So there are many hindrances in trade which are removed by these business services. Say for example, the hindrance of a place is removed by transportation. The hindrance of finance is removed by banking. The hindrance of risk is removed by insurance. Hindrance of time is removed by warehousing. The hindrance of knowledge is removed by advertisements. So overall, the business services means the sum total of those processes which are engaged in the removal of these hindrances. So did you all understand the term business services, children? So they remove the hindrances in business. So these all hindrances we undergo in the business. So these are removed by the business services. Now let us proceed. See, the services has so much importance. Now the services, the business services are in the world economy are gaining so much importance that nowadays the world economy is increasingly characterized as a service economy, as the importance and the share of service sector is increasing day by day, that it is considered as a service economy. Yes. So in fact, the world economy, the increasing service sector, the world economy is nowadays considered as a service economy. So in fact, the index of a country's economy is also measured with the service sector. So that such is the importance of or significance of business services in the world economy. Okay, so now it is characterized, the world economy is nowadays characterized as a service economy. Such is the importance given to these business services. Now let us understand the characteristics of business services. The business services have 5 characteristics which we can remember easily with the word I5. Means every characteristics of these business services is beginning with the letter I. Say for example, the first characteristic features of business services is intangible. Second one, inconsistency. Third one, inventoryless, that is perishable. And the fourth one is inseparable. And the fifth one is involvement. Now, let us learn each of these characters in detail. The first one is intangible. So this term is also not new to you, because in the preparation of balance sheet on the asset side, we have learned this, intangible assets and tangible assets. Okay, so the word intangible means that which we cannot see, touch, feel, smell, taste, etc. So can you give an example of intangible asset? Yes, the example of intangible asset is goodwill. Goodwill means the reputation or name and fame of the company, which though we cannot see it, but we can experience or we can benefit from such assets. So coming to our point here, business services are intangible, means the services are cannot be seen, cannot be touched, cannot be smelled, or cannot be tasted. Say, for example, we take a doctor services. Doctor treats the patients. Yes. So can you see the treatment? Can you see his treatment? No, we cannot see his treatment, but we can feel it, we can experience it. Yes. So that is the meaning of intangible. So services are intangible. Now, the second characteristic features of business services is inconsistency. Inconsistency means heterogeneous, not homogeneous, means not same. Okay, so the provision of services includes large measure of human element. In this case, a service provider may alter his offer from person to person. Example, a doctor's service differs according to the problems of the patients. So he treats the patient according to their diseases. So he will not give the same treatment to every patient. So that is the meaning of inconsistency. Means here the service provider will change his service to depending upon the requirement of the service consumer. So that is the meaning of inconsistency. So service provider means one who renders the service. Service consumer is one who consumes the service. One who is in need of the service is called service consumer. So this is the second characteristics of business services. Now let us proceed to the third characteristics. The third characteristic features of business services is inventory-less, means perishable. That means the services are perishable. Services cannot be stored for future use. Services are produced and consumed during the same period of time. Once the service is rendered to the service consumer, the service vanishes. Say for example, you buy a train ticket, air ticket. So you have to travel in the time mentioned in it. Okay. So if you store the tickets for future use, it will be useless. So that's the meaning of inventory-less, means perishable. So you have to use when the services are rendered. Understood? That's the meaning of inventory-less here. So now let us proceed to the fourth characteristic features of business services. The fourth characteristic of business services is inseparable. So presence of service provider is indispensable for service delivery because he must promptly generate and render services. Likewise, a service consumer is inseparable for service delivery because the service will be generated on his request and will remain till the service is rendered. Take for example, when we hire a taxi, the taxi driver services are indispensable, means he is needed there to drive the taxi. So likewise, we can give many examples. When the teacher is teaching, that student should be present there. Understood? Now, when doctor is treating, the patient should be present there. Understood? That's the meaning of inseparable. Both the service provider and the service consumer should be there at the same time. Now, the fifth characteristic features of business services is involvement. Okay, so customer participation, that means customer participation is a must in the service delivery process. A customer has opportunity to get the services modified according to specific requirement. So that is the meaning of involvement. Take for example, when you go to a restaurant. So you ordered the food as per your wish. Now you have to eat the food which you have ordered according to your wish. Yes, so that's why you ordered the food which you require there. So the participation. So when one is ordering for another, it's not called business services. So when you are ordering the food for you, your participation is there. You are consuming the food which you are ordering there. Okay, so you will not order for others there. So that's the meaning of involvement or participation. So these are the 5 characteristic features of business services. Now, after understanding the characteristic features of business services, let us proceed to the another topic, that is differences between the goods and services. Now that you have understood the features of services, you can easily differentiate between the goods and services, because goods means you know already what are they. So you can easily differentiate between the goods and services. Now, goods are physical commodities. You can hold them in your hand, whereas services are processes or activities which you cannot hold in your hand. So the goods are tangible, means which you can see, touch, gripped, handled or tasted. Whereas services are intangible, as I said, you cannot see them, touch them, smell them or taste them. Okay, then service goods are homogeneous, means same. The goods of one kind will be same. Okay, then services are heterogeneous, means not same. I said they are inconsistent, means it will not be same. Then goods are non-perishable, we can store them. Yes, perishable means that which get damaged or they get exhausted. So goods here are non-perishable, whereas services are perishable. They get exhausted or they get vanished, they get damaged, like that. So that's the meaning of perishable. Now, in case of goods, when goods are sold, the ownership of the goods will be transferred from the seller to the buyer. Whereas in case of services, the ownership is not transferable. Okay, so goods are consumable, means which we can eat, drink, etc. But services are just usable. Okay, so these are the differences between goods and services, which you will get as 5 marks question in your board exam. So very simple to understand, easy to write. So you can easily score 5 marks here. Okay, so even the characteristic features of business services also will get for 5 marks question. Okay, then let us proceed to another topic, that is types of business services. So now we have learned about the characteristic features, differences between the goods and services. Now we are proceeding to different types of business services, which we have already learned that they remove the hindrances in business. Now, business is an inclusive and comprehensive term. It denotes not only transfer of goods, but also services which are connected with the exchange of money. So let us see. So here we have banking services, insurance services, transport services, and warehousing services. Yes, now the first and foremost business services is banking. Now, banking removes the hindrance of finance in business. So, banks are the indispensable spoke in the wheel of commerce. A banker, being a buyer and seller of money, mobilizes the savings of the people and provides finance to business undertakings. A bank is an institution which attracts the deposits for the purpose of lending to business or individuals. Okay, so bank credit is the major source of credit for business. The major part of the funds collected by banks are utilized for lending to the business people and individuals. Okay, now we have different types of banks. We can see the classification of banks here. So, uh, yes, here. So, classification of banks. At the apex, we have Reserve Bank of India. It is a central bank, and it is divided into scheduled banks and non-scheduled banks. And again, the scheduled banks are divided into commercial banks and cooperative banks. And the commercial banks are again classified into public sector, private sector, foreign banks, and regional rural banks. Public sector banks are again classified into SBI and associate banks, nationalized banks, other public sector banks. The cooperative banks are again divided into state cooperative banks, district cooperative banks, and other cooperative banks. So these are about the banking. Yes. Now let us proceed to another important business service, which is insurance. Now life is full of uncertainties. Yes. Now necessity to remove such uncertainties led to the need for insurance. Business is full of risk. The occurrence of any event which is uncertain is learned as risk. Now, likewise, these risks can be guarded by means of insurance. Some of the risks can be passed on to specialized institutions which are called as insurance companies. That means the hindrance of risk is removed by insurance. Now, insurance protects the businessman from financial loss by transferring the risk onto insurance company. The basic principle of insurance is spreading of the risk of loss among a number of persons. Insurance gives the businessman a sense of security, which is a real boon to him. So this is about the insurance. And here the two terms, many people use insurance and assurance both as synonyms, but there is a slight difference between these two terms. Yes, insurance and assurance. Yes, they are frequently used as same, but there is a slight difference between this. Insurance is a contract for paying compensation for any damage or loss that may or may not occur. If there is no such accident or damage, the claim does not arise. But in case of assurance, the policy is bound to become a claim. Means the sum assured is bound to be payable. So here we have different types of insurance policies. Like we have life insurance, property insurance, marine insurance, fire insurance, social insurance, health insurance, etc. Now, after learning about the insurance, now let us proceed to another important business services, that is transportation. Transportation removes the hindrance of place. Okay? Transportation removes the hindrance of place. That means the hindrance of place is removed by transportation. Transportation is an arrangement whereby goods are moved from the place of production to the place of consumption. Yes, they are moved from place of production to place of consumption to various means like trucks, trains, aeroplanes, ships, etc. Yes, then transport creates the place utility for the goods. transport can be regarded as a kingpin of developing economy. The availability of transport enlarges the market for products. The producers widen their market by reaching new places. Transport helps in the mobility of labor and capital. Transport encourages specialization and division of labor. So not only the goods, even the labor moves from place to place. So it leads to specialization and division of labor. And as I said, there are different means of transportation. So we have road transport, rail transport, air transport, water transport, and utility transportation. Okay, so this is about another important business services which we have learned. So first it is banking, second insurance, third transportation, and let us move to another important business services which is warehousing. Warehousing removes the hindrance of time. Okay, that means it creates the time utility to the goods. This function involves storing of goods from the time they are produced until they are needed for consumption. A warehouse is a facility created or established for the storage of goods. Now, some goods fetch higher prices if they are preserved for a longer period. That means perishable goods have to be stored in the cold storages to enable the customers to consume them throughout the year. Yes. Now goods are also stored to withstand the fluctuations in prices. Goods which are produced seasonally must be stored so that they are made available to the consumer throughout the year. So this is the functions of warehousing. Okay, they big godowns. Warehouses means big godowns. We have cold storages also to store the perishable commodities. So about this warehousing, we will learn about the warehousing as well as the insurance. We will be learning in the next session in very detailed fashion. Now, another important business service is we have different types of warehouses. As I said, we have private warehouses, public warehouses, government warehouses, cooperative warehouses, bonded warehouses, distribution centers or warehouses, cold storages, export and import warehouses, climate controlled storages, field warehouses, agricultural warehouses. So these are the different types of warehouses which we are going to learn in the next session in other services chapter. Okay. Now the next important business service is wholesalers and retailer. About this you have learned in the first year in a very detailed fashion as one chapter, completely one chapter. So again a repetition here. So this is also business service, but it is not included in the second years, but we have to learn it. So wholesalers and retailers remove the hindrances of persons. Yes, wholesalers purchases the goods in bulk from the manufacturer, and in turn the wholesaler sells the goods in bulk to the retailer, and from the retailer the ultimate consumer purchases. So they act as a connecting link between the producers and the consumers. So this is about the wholesalers and retailers. So the next important business service is advertisement and communication. Communication and advertisements removes the hindrance of knowledge and information. Means advertisements informs the customers about the availability or the existence of various products. Communication helps in efficient operations of these commercial activities. Okay, so this is about the advertisement and communication. Now let us see first and foremost important business services meaning and its definition. So till now we have studied about the different types of business services. Now the first and foremost important business services is banking. As you all know, banking removes the hindrance of finance. Finance, finance is the lifeblood of business. So let us see its meaning and definition. So meaning, as I said earlier, you have learned when we are learning the business services. Again, banking is derived from the word banco, which means a bench or a table. Means the early bankers, they transacted their business on benches in the marketplace. That's why banks got its name like that. Okay. Now, let us see the definition of banking. According to the Banking Regulation Act 1949, banking is defined as accepting for the purpose of lending or investment of deposits of money from the public, repayable on demand or otherwise, and withdrawable by check, draft, order, or otherwise. So this is the definition given according to the Banking Regulation Act 1949. Okay, so you have to by heart it. So here we can understand the functions of banking. What does a bank does in the business? Okay, so it removes the hindrance of finance. So let us proceed to the functions of banking. So this is a very important question from the examination point of view. It will come as 10 marks in your board exam. So let us learn these functions of banking in a very detailed fashion. Okay. Now, first, the functions of banking are divided into primary functions and secondary functions. Yes, and the primary functions are accepting deposits and granting loans and advances. So these are primary functions. You can easily remember we have two primary functions of banks, that is accepting deposits and granting loans and advances. And the secondary functions of banks are agency functions and utility functions. Okay, so they serve, they give general utility services to their customers. So these are secondary functions. Now let us study them in detail. The core functions of banking are accepting deposits, granting loans and advances, agency functions, and utility services. So let us proceed. Banks accept money from the public in various forms, which constitute borrowing by the banks. The deposits are one of the main sources of funds for the banks. So what the people deposit in banks will be the main source of money to the banks. Okay, so we have different types of deposits here. Okay, like current account, savings account, fixed deposits, and recurring deposits. Okay, so these are the four types of deposits which the banks accept from the public. Now let us see each of these, what are the each means. Now current accounts. Current accounts is opened only for business transaction purposes. No interest is given on the deposits of current account. Okay, interest will not be given on these accounts. Then what is the benefit of opening these current account? Means generally the institutions like governments and businessmen hold these accounts. Then what is the advantage? The greatest advantage of having current account is that there are no restrictions on the number of withdrawals or the limit of amount. So you can go and deposit as many times as you can in the bank, and you can withdraw as many times as you can from the bank as and when you require. So there will be no limitations on this, and on the amount also, as much as you can withdraw, as much as you can deposit. So there are no limitations. So that is the main advantage of current accounts. Okay, now let us proceed to savings account. Now what are these savings account? The people, the householders especially, they cut short their expenditures and try to save some amounts. Yes, they want to keep these savings in the bank because they think that if they keep at home, they may be spent. So that's why what they do, they save their amounts in the savings account. Yes. Now, the savings account holders earn a certain rate of interest on their savings. Okay. But however, some restrictions are placed on number of withdrawals and the amount of withdrawal. Okay. So there will be restrictions, unlike the current account. Okay. So that's the benefit. The benefit here we are gaining is certain rate of interest on our savings. Okay. So the benefit here is we gain certain amount of interest on our savings. Okay. And the next type of deposit is fixed deposits. Yes. Fixed deposits are also called as term deposits. Yes. Or time deposits. Why they are called as time deposits or fixed deposits means they are kept the lump sum amount for certain period. Okay. So the amount deposited cannot be normally withdrawn until the maturity period. Okay. And these deposits carry varying rates of interest depending upon their maturity period. So depending upon the number of years, the rate of interest vary, means changes. Okay. So generally, when you deposit for a longer duration, the rate of interest will be more. Means within that period, you cannot withdraw the amount. Understood? So till the maturity date, you cannot withdraw the amount from that. That's why it carries a high rate of interest than the interest compared to the savings accounts. Okay, so this is the meaning of fixed deposits. That means for a fixed period of time, you are depositing your amount and you get a higher rate of interest on this when compared to the savings accounts. Now, another important deposit is recurring deposits. Now, these recurring deposits are gaining popularity nowadays. Why? Because under this type of deposits, you need not deposit in lump sum. A certain amount of, say for example, a small amount like savings, how you are saving, like small amount you can save from your income and deposit every month. Okay. So the depositors are just, they're required to deposit a minimum amount every month for a specified period of time. So the term of these accounts may vary from 12 months to 10 years. After the completion of the specified period, the customers gets back all these deposits along with the cumulative interest accrued on the deposits from year to year. So they will get a cumulative interest. Okay, the amount which they are depositing every month, they will get a cumulative interest on those deposits. Okay. So when the customers wants his amount back, he will get back all the amount which he has saved as well as the interest accrued on those deposits every month till the expiry of the maturity period. So this is about the recurring deposits. Okay. Now coming to the lending. So these are the different types of deposits which come under the acceptance of deposits, which is a primary function of business. And another primary functions of business is lending. Yes, another primary functions of business is lending. But let us understand these lending, how in a various forms the banks lend to the people. Okay, commercial banks, especially the commercial banks, lend the amount which it collects from the public in the various forms. Like I said, various forms they are depositing. No, that amount is again lent to the public as well as the business people in various forms. Lending is carried out purely with a profit motive for the banks. The rate of interest charged on the loans and advances will be higher than what it pays on the deposits. The difference between the rate of interest allowed on deposits and the rate charged on the loan is called as spread. Okay, the difference between the rate which as a public which we get and as a public which we are paying on our loans is called spread, and it is the main source of income for the banks. Okay, so the interest which they are charging on our loans or advances is the income to the banks. They run on those income, so that is called spread. Now we have different forms of lending. So the banks give loans in the form of cash credit, loans, purchasing and discounting of bills, and overdraft. Now let us see each of these. The first foremost process of lending is cash credit. A cash credit is an arrangement between a bank and its customer, whereby the bank agrees to lend money to the borrower up to a certain limit. The amount so agreed upon will be credited to the account of the borrower. The borrower draws the money as and when he needs, and the interest will be charged only on the amount actually drawn and not on the amount placed in the customer's account. Did you all understand what is a cash credit? Yes? So here the banks, whenever a customer comes and asks for loan, they give lump sum or they sanction as a cash credit to the customer in lump sum, and it is credited in his, means his your customer's account. That lump sum amount is credited in the customer's account. Yes, and the customer withdraws the amount as per his requirement. So whenever he may not require the whole of his loan amount, so he may require some at a time, some at a time. So the interest is charged only on the amount withdrawn by him. That's the meaning of cash credit here. Okay, slight difference. So the interest is charged on the amount withdrawn by him. Okay, so this is about the cash credit. Now let us see the loans now. Let us see the difference between cash credit and loans. Now, loan is a specified amount sanctioned by a bank to the customer. It is granted for a fixed period, say for 6 months or a year. The amount sanctioned is credited to his account by the bank, or he can withdraw the amount either in installments or in lump sum. Interest is charged on full amount sanctioned and credited. The rate of interest charged will be lower on the loan than on the cash credit. That means the loan, the interest charged on the loans will be lower than on the above one, the cash credit. That's the meaning here. So when we compare the interest between the cash credit and loans, here the loan, in the loans, it will be lower. Okay, but it is charged on the whole amount which is sanctioned to him. That's the difference between the cash credit and the loans. Okay, interest, here the interest is charged on full amount. That you should remember, children. The amount of interest charged on the loans is for the full amount sanctioned to the customer. There it is only for the amount which is withdrawn by him. That's the only difference between the cash credit and the loan here. Okay, now loans are generally granted against the security of property or personal security. Means we have to mortgage some property to obtain the loans. Loans may be repaid in lump sum or in installments. Okay, again loans are classified into demand loan and term loan. Now what is this demand loan and term loan? Yes, demand loan is a loan which is repayable on demand. Means whenever it is asked or required. The entire amount of loan is credited to customer's account. He has to pay interest on the entire amount. The borrower can repay the loan either in lump sum or as agreed with the bank. These loans are generally granted against the postal NSC, National Savings Certificate, Kisan Vikas Patra, or life insurance policies, etc. So these are about demand loans. Now, what are term loans? Medium and long-term loans are called term loans. That is, medium and long-term loans are called term loans. Term loans are granted for more than 1 year, and normally repayment of such loans is spread over a longer period. The repayment is generally made in suitable installments of fixed amount. So people say this EMIs, they say no, equal amount of installments. So they generally paid in monthly installments for a longer period of time. So these are called term loans. So banks lend loans as demand loans and term loans. So, and another process of lending is purchasing and discounting of bills. So banks also lend money in the form of purchasing and discounting of bills. Here, the holder of a bill of exchange may be in urgent need of a cash before the bill's maturity period. Okay, here bill of exchange means suppose the drawer draws a bill on the drawee, means if the drawee here has to pay money to the drawer. So suppose the drawer needs the amount urgently. Say these bills are generally drawn for 3 months or 2 months period of time. So if the person who is drawing the bill that month, suppose he is a seller of the goods, he draws a bill on the drawee and the drawee accepts it. Yes, accepting means he will accept that he will pay the amount for which he has purchased the goods, say for 2 months or 3 months after. Then in the meantime, if the drawer means the seller of the goods needs urgently his money back, then what he does means in such circumstances he may sell the bill to his banker at an amount which would be lesser than the actual amount. Yes, the bill with the banker means the bank charges a minimum amount for giving the payment in early to the drawer or seller of the goods. Okay, after discounting the bill, then the banker steps into the shoes of the drawer. If bill is dishonored, the banker can recover the amount from the customer who has discounted the bill here. Okay, so if bill is dishonored, otherwise the drawee will pay the amount to the banker. That's the meaning of purchasing and discounting the bills in the bank. And another important lending of banking to the public is overdraft. So generally commercial banks grant overdraft facility to the holders of current accounts. Okay, so first we have discussed now current account holders, generally the business people and the institutions, governments, they open these current accounts. So this overdraft facility is also given to the current account holders. Here the current account holder is allowed to draw an amount in the excess of balance held in the account, in his account. Okay, suppose he is holding in his account 50,000. The banks will give permission to him to withdraw an amount more than 50,000 from the bank. Now it is a temporary arrangement. Interest is charged on actual amount withdrawn by the customer. Interest rate charged on the overdraft will be more than that which is charged on loans. So when they are giving certain facilities, they will charge more only. So such overdraft facility is given to the current account holders. So this is about the overdraft. Now, so after seeing the forms of lending, now let us see what are the secondary functions. Secondary functions, we have said that the banks also certain services which are called secondary services. In that, for the first one is agency services or agency functions. Okay. Now, agency functions of the bank. Banks perform certain functions for and on behalf of their customers, and they charge a certain amount as banking charges for these services, children. They don't serve free of cost. They charge certain amount as a banking charges, and they render these services to their clients. Okay, then what does they do? Banks collect or make payment of bills, checks, interest, dividends, rents, etc. on behalf of their customers. Yes, they do all these services on behalf of their customers and charge a certain amount on the customer. The second function of agency function of banks is banks acts as an executor, trustee, and attorney on customers' will ante వీలునామా తెలుసు కదా. So they act as an executor, trustee, and attorney on customers' will. And the third agency function of the banks is banks work as a correspondent, agent, representative of their clients. Now, these are some of the agency services which the banks provide to their customers by charging a certain minimum amount as bank charges. Okay, so this is about the secondary function, first secondary functions of banks. And the next secondary functions of banks is general utility services. Okay, now banks also perform certain general utility services on behalf of their customers, like banks issue letter of credit on the request of importer to the exporter. Yes, we have learned this, no children, what is a letter of credit. So when the exporter is exporting goods to the importer, this is international trade. So the importer has to give his credit worthiness to the exporter. But for that, that means the exporter should be sure that the importer can pay the amount to him for his goods. For that, the importer approaches his bank and asks him to give a letter of credit, means his credit worthiness to the exporter. So that's the meaning of issue of letter of credit on the request of importer to the exporter. Okay, understood? Then the second, the banks also issue bank drafts and travelers checks to provide facilities of fund transfer from one part of the country to another. And banks accept or collect foreign bills of exchange. Banks also arrange safe deposit lockers for the safe custody of customer securities or valuables and jewelry. You know, we open lockers for our jewelry especially, and important documents we keep in our safe lockers in the banks. For that, they charge rent for our lockers when we keep our valuables in the bank. So this function also, the bank does of the customers and charges a minimum amount. Okay. Now these are the general utility services provided by the banks to their customers. Okay. Now what all we have studied, children, in the functions of banking? So just a recap of what we have studied. So the functions of banks are classified into primary functions and secondary functions. Yes. And under primary functions, the banks does accepting of deposits and lending of loans. Yes. And in the secondary functions, the banks are performing agency services and general utility services to their customers. So these are the functions which you can remember easily, and this comes as a 10 marks question in the exam, very important question. So what you have to do is, first you have to write the meaning of banking, definition of banking, and the functions of banking you should classify and you should write. If they ask classification of banks also, you can draw the flow chart and show to them. So there, like that you can score good marks there. Okay, so very important question and very easy also to learn and understand. Okay, now let us proceed to the improve learning questions, children. What all we have learned in this session, the questions which are important from the examination point of view are: explain the various business services, explain the importance of transportation, define goods, explain the differences between the goods and services, write the characteristics of business services, define banking and explain the functions of banking, explain the various types of bank deposits. So these are the important questions which are generally asked in the board exam. Yes? And thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Shailaja Madam, for the wonderful lecture. And thanks to all the viewers, students who are watching this session. I hope you enjoyed the lecture. And finally, thanks to one and all.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.